The Buddha's teachings, 3 supreme truths of the Buddha that help you build a peaceful life. Today, we have witnessed how each drop of water can merge together to form the vast ocean. There are 3 truths that anyone can practice: a broad, expansive mind, gentle and harmonious speech, employing compassion as our fundamental nature to devote ourselves throughout our life. These 3 mottos are the foundation for building trust among people, enabling beings to love one another and live in harmony. Whether one is poor or rich, everyone experiences suffering in life. The only difference is the form that suffering takes for each individual. Bhikkhus and bhikkhunis, up to this day, with all the knowledge I have imparted to you, please examine it carefully and apply it diligently in your practice. First, you must realize it for yourselves, and only then can you share it with others. From this day on, you bear the profound responsibility of transmitting this supreme truth to all sentient beings. You should not hastily believe anything, even if I once said it, until you use your own learning and wisdom to contemplate and confirm it is entirely trustworthy, with no trace of doubt. Bhikkhus and bhikkhunis, all phenomena, dharma, are impermanent, arising and ceasing, coming into being and passing away. You must always be diligent in order to attain liberation. Someone once said, "What you've stated is completely contradictory. You believe in a next life, yet deny the existence of a self. How can there be a next life if there is no self?" The Blessed One replied, "That's not incorrect. However, there is no contradiction. Non-self can still go hand in hand with belief in a future life." What does that mean? Have you ever seen a mango fruit? We take its seed and plant it in the ground. It grows into a mango tree, which later bears fruit. Is that not like the next generation of the original mango tree? This example is to say I deny the notion of a fixed self-nature. Venerable Sir, the first of the 4 noble truths you taught says that everything is suffering. The world is filled with suffering, birth is suffering, and death is also suffering. Doesn't that sound negative? You are not wrong, but immediately after the first noble truth, I speak of ending suffering in the subsequent truths. To talk about the end of suffering, I must first explain what suffering is, then point out how to triumph over it. How can that be considered entirely negative? People claim that you have come to destroy this world, causing young people to all become monks. I do not wish to destroy the world. What I want is for everyone to abandon false pleasures and be guided back to the source of life. It takes courage to walk this path. Only those with great bravery can do it. In this vast world, carrying only your alms bowl, each thought carefully focused on body and mind, is like walking along the blade of a knife. Regarding a child who has not awakened, it is possible that they could uplift their entire family, yet they might also bring them tremendous heartbreak. Likewise, a monk regards the entire world as his family. One awakened monk can uplift the world. You speak truly, someone said. You teach the principle of non-killing, turning warriors into monastics who strive for righteousness but end up feeling guilty. That's correct, but non-killing is a form of transforming violence. Violence can never truly be quenched by violence, but compassion can. This is a natural law. Everyone fears death. Once you realize that others share the same mindset, you will spontaneously give up violence. A long night is endless for the sleepless, and a road is long and distant for the weary traveler. Likewise, for one who lives in ignorance and does not understand the Dharma, his life will be filled with suffering and misfortune. The mysterious truth of life is to free oneself from fear, worrying not about the future, harboring no sorrow over the past, and neither depending on nor fearing the person you used to be. Another truth about life is that you become attached to certain people or objects, yet in the end, you will lose them. From the moment you no longer reach out, begging for help, you have attained liberation. Please teach us, O Blessed One, what is important in the worldly life of lay people. Kunda, in married life, equality is most important. A family in which husband and wife live in love and harmony will flourish with prosperity. That kind of prosperity can spread, making everyone feel happy. In worldly life, a couple's union must transcend mere physical and material desires. The wife is a part of the husband's being. The husband should give his wife respect and dignity, never humiliating her in front of others. A wife should not act contrary to the standards of a virtuous woman, and a husband must be worthy of his duty as a husband, staying away from vices. Every decision the husband makes should consider his wife's wishes. Loving the husband is a wife's responsibility, regarding her husband's family as her own, acting as a safe haven of love, offering care and support to every member of her husband's family. If each person respects the other like an honored guest, trusts one another, then the supreme truth shall be yours. Compassionate, world-honored one, please tell us what we need to heed so we may walk the path you have shown us. Associate with good people. Those who cannot remain mindful easily lead you into laziness and negligence, creating unfavorable conditions for your practice. Then the state of your mind becomes defiled and cannot remain pure. Your occupation should also be in harmony with the Dharma. Regardless of what you do, business or routine tasks, investigate thoroughly first, then dedicate yourself to completing it. For instance, when cooking rice or boiling water, do not see it as a trivial chore unworthy of attention. Consider it an opportunity to care for yourself, your husband, and your children. Whatever blessings arise in life, do not be selfish or live only for yourself. Your happiness, success, and wealth should be shared with others. Avoid gambling and alcohol. As a human being, you must remain humble, courteous, friendly, and upright. Whenever you have the opportunity to offer alms to the monastics or practice meditation, these things can dissolve worries and difficulties, leading your mind to experience the supreme tranquility. You must remember each morning, as we open our eyes to the new dawn, we should be clearly aware of our responsibilities. This is very important. People often forget gratitude. One should always keep in mind what one is indebted to. Just like the plants, flowers, wind, water, and air, none of these truly belong to us. We must be grateful to everything, always carrying gratitude in our hearts as we live and think. Thus, we will harvest many benefits. It's not meaningless. If everything were meaningless, wouldn't we all be sick? If we got sick, death wouldn't be so far away, right? Carrying gratitude within us is like a magnificent flower shining in this world. Ignorance gives rise to suffering, anxiety, delusion, anger, arrogance, pride, jealousy, all born from ignorance. Delusion leads people down evil paths. Though they appear as two aspects, life and death have no real difference. They are one. It is our mistaken perceptions that obstruct us. Once we remove all hindrances, our entire being becomes truly independent, relying on nothing, free of all entanglements. Morality, sila, concentration, samadhi, wisdom, panya, and the Noble Eightfold Path can eradicate all wrong views. I will repeat once more: right view, right thought, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. A long night is endless for the sleepless, and a road is long and distant for the weary traveler. Likewise, for one who lives in ignorance and does not understand what right dharma is, he will spend his life in suffering and misfortune. Whatever knowledge you gain, whether by reading or hearing wise gurus expound, or even my words, do not believe it hastily. You must examine it with your own learning and wisdom, then analyze and verify it. Blessed One, what if we meet you on the path of truth? On the path of truth, no matter whom you meet, do not rush to accept them. Even if you meet a king who is your own father, do not consider that to be the ultimate. Even if you meet your actual father, do not abandon the righteous path just because of him. Your life must be firmly held in the palm of your own hand. Do not rely on others. Behold the eternal within your grief. Discover joy in the midst of cruelty. See the humanity within evil. Perceive goodness. Ignorance has clouded people's vision. Once we break through that veil of delusion, all suffering and worry vanish from our hearts. Compassion and forgiveness awaken. The feelings of all beings are the same. If you are not an awakened one, you cannot discover the intrigue of enlightenment. And if you give rise to the aspiration for enlightenment, then you too shall become a Buddha. O my beloved bhikkhus, these are my final instructions. Light the lamp of your own being. Be your own lamp. Be diligently mindful of the Dharma, focusing on your mind within. Rely on yourselves, do not depend on others. Everything is impermanent. Dwell steadfast amid all changes, exerting diligent effort, and never give up. Ananda, the supreme truth, is not found floating in empty space. It is found within each person's mind. Today, let us together ensure that children must be loved and protected. As for the elderly, we must provide them with sincere love and care. We should sympathize with those who strive diligently. Toward those who are weak, no matter how astray they have gone, we should treat them with generosity. We must remember that such opportunities exist everywhere in our daily life. Bhagavan, sometimes we carelessly do unwholesome deeds. If we feel remorse for these actions, what should we do? When you have committed a wrong, you should continuously correct your behavior. Our thoughts create who we are. If your thoughts are unwholesome, they will manifest in your actions, and suffering arises, like a wheel following the foot of the ox. If your thoughts are wholesome, your actions will be wholesome, and happiness will always accompany you in this life. What about other ordeals that arise in life? Please instruct us. In summary, there are only 3 things that matter most. First, have we loved genuinely? Second, have we lived our lives to the fullest? Third, can we take one more step and let go of everything? The reason we exist is to seek the meaning of life. When we sacrifice ourselves wholeheartedly, our hearts and minds, at that very moment, we see the ultimate essence of life. Returning hate for hate only perpetuates hatred. Transforming it by love is the most fundamental principle. There are 3 things that will never remain hidden in darkness: the sun, the moon, and the truth. The truth can never be buried. To be reborn anew, one must first awaken. If we speak of misfortune, it can be counted on 10 fingers, but good deeds number in the hundreds. If our ancestors committed wrongs and sowed bad karma, then in their remaining years, they naturally sink down like pebbles in water. Doing good deeds is like essential oil that floats on water. We reap what we sow, not just in one lifetime, but also through future lifetimes, bearing the results of our actions. The body in this life does not exist solely for this lifetime. After it deteriorates, there is still the drifting along in the sea of samsara. We reap what we sow. Our words can be like sharp knives that kill invisibly. I have seen a distant future where fathers and sons oppose each other, brothers turn on one another, husbands and wives separate, houses burn to ashes, and unjust acts abound. People kill each other over race, language, and faith. That is the root cause of division. Living in harmony depends on everyone's enlightenment. Yet how can humanity use love to erase discrimination, seeing each other as siblings? We must set a precedent. In that age, the standards we uphold will save humanity from disaster. Remember, my disciples, doubt is a serious illness. It destroys human relationships like a poison that kills friendship. It is like a thorn piercing deep to the bone. Never forget that our thoughts create who we are. Because of ignorance, we have suffering, delusion, and anxiety. Greed, anger, pride, false imagination, jealousy, and fear all arise from ignorance. Illusion is the opposite side of ignorance. Illusion has 2 sides. Maintain the middle way. Do not lean to one side or the other. Do not let your body starve, and do not indulge in sensual desires. Concentrate on the middle way. When you recognize that evil is only an illusion, then all vexations disappear by themselves. Compassion and tolerance arise. Their essence is the same. Realizing this, all resentment vanishes. Even those who treat us cruelly, we can understand. Once the door of wisdom opens, all that remains is forgiveness. During meditation, if thoughts arise, wisdom helps us discern truth from phenomena, self from others. Such discrimination guides us into error. Humans are often bound by attachments, and greed is the cause that drives us away from truth. Within the cycle of birth and death, from the moment we are born until we die, we fear illness and the end of life, but this only increases our ignorance and fear. Hence, we must sever all illusions. Once we step outside illusion, life is liberated, freed from constraints, made serene, stable, and peaceful. The 4 noble truths are 4 exalted realities. The first truth is that none can escape suffering. It follows us like a shadow. The second truth is that the cause of suffering is ignorance, greed, anger, sorrow, worry, fear, and hopelessness, self-clinging. The third truth, the end of suffering, is wisdom, the understanding of oneself and life. This insight leads to the cessation of suffering and brings forth peace. The fourth truth is the path that leads to the cessation of suffering, namely the noble eightfold path, nurtured by mindfulness, ultimately leading to concentration and wisdom, freeing us from all suffering. That path includes 8 right practices, with clear seeing, right thinking, truthful speech, correct action, righteous livelihood, diligent effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration guiding our behavior. I am the Dharma. As a spider weaves its web in beautiful patterns, so does the natural world create myriad things. Its beauty is boundless. When our mind generates a desire, we think we will surely be happy if we obtain it. But once that dream is realized, we feel an inner emptiness. Do you know why? Desire is like a wish we hold. Once it is fulfilled, the wish we have been anticipating disappears. Then the emptiness in our life flows away like water through our fingers. Thus, nothing is certain in life, right? Yes, indeed. Then forget these illusory worldly desires. Forget your fear of life and death, for it brings you no benefit. Even if you are terrified of life ending, start by negating the notion of this existence and search for the hidden self within. Countless people suffer from material deprivation, living in poverty, lacking food or clothing, enduring all sorts of injustice. Many others experience mental suffering. If you are about to jump into a deep abyss, why don't you pay attention to the beautiful scenery around you? Anything in excess, even joy, ultimately results in suffering. Therefore, maintain the middle way. Thus, you will recognize the true nature of things and gain boundless tranquility. For thousands of years, we have been quick to see and criticize the faults of others, requiring scriptures or scholars to cleanse them of their sins, like offering rituals and sacrifices. But I assert that the root of all sins lies in ourselves, and only we can open the door to liberation. Suppose someone wants to reach the other side of the river. What should he do? In my view, if the water is shallow, he can wade across. If it is deep, he must swim or use a boat. But what if he refuses all those means and only prays to the gods? Will a path suddenly appear under his feet on the other shore? Such a person we call a fool, utterly ignorant. Likewise, if one uses wisdom to subdue desire and ignorance, how could he not discover truth and the path to liberation? If one only prays or offers sacrifices, he will remain stuck in place, never crossing the starting line. The earth is our foundation. The sky gives us freedom of space. Our bodies dwell within these. What is supreme truth? Only by personally experiencing it, understanding yourself, and truly knowing yourself can you grasp it. Without thoughts, without desires, merely sensing and maintaining balance, once you master these, you no longer see any difference in the existence of all things. Like changes in the weather, the falling of leaves, can we sense all that? Certainly, wisdom is everywhere, in the sun, the moon, the stars, the galaxies. This supreme truth is available to everyone and can lead to enlightenment. Today I have been through an extremely harsh trial. Desire, anger, illusion, greed, hunger, all of them appeared before me, yet my mind remained unmoved. I once made a vow, even if it costs my life, I must realize enlightenment. Finally, I attained that ultimate truth which leads to salvation. Please teach me the path to such wholesome Dharma. All beings in this world merge into one entity. It is like an invisible thread that we cannot see. If you diligently do good deeds like waves rushing to shore, over time, goodness will follow you from one life to the next until you awaken. On the other hand, if you create evil, you will experience suffering for many lifetimes, leading to downfall. If you remain mindful in each moment of the present, preserving inner peace, you will discover the middle way in your own mind, neither sadness nor joy, beyond the binding flow of karma. Ultimately, you will realize the supreme truth. Do not be disheartened, Ananda. I have often reminded you, all phenomena are impermanent. Life inevitably moves toward death. Gathering foreshadows parting. High tides follow low tides. If there were no death, how could there be birth? Ananda, you have served me wholeheartedly, and I am deeply grateful. You have done your utmost to assist me. You possess many noble qualities, but you can still progress further, striving more intensely to transcend birth and death and attain the freedom of the mind, growing through each hardship. I know you can do this, and it brings me comfort. Venerable Ananda, you have 4 qualities. Your speech is gentle, you are content with whatever you receive, you treat everyone equally, and your silence brings joy to all. Ananda, in all these years, you have served me without the slightest doubt, right? My cremation ceremony still needs your help. Remember well, my path is not for you to flee the world. I believe humans can change when influenced by another's good or bad deeds. My hope rests in noble hearts. A person's destiny is determined by the karma they create. We are born on this great earth. All experiences are suffering. Samsara is rife with pain and sorrow. Yet the world is not simply a place for suffering. It is where enlightened beings reside, but only if they are awakened. This is now your responsibility. Whatever is destined to arrive will do so, and then it will disperse. Expectation or longing is futile. Life is very short. There is no time for regrets. Don't waste even a minute on people or things that cause you troubles. All encounters and separations come through certain conditions. Harmonizing with them brings peace, which is enlightenment. When we were young, happiness was so simple. After growing up, living simply becomes our happiness. In life, disappointment arises because we are too hopeful. Grand dreams end in ashes. We hold too much in our hearts, yet can't express ourselves. Some people cannot forget because they cannot let go. Others must forget because the memory is unworthy. We often feel exhausted because we hesitate between holding on and letting go. Sometimes, even when we understand, we cannot accept reality. Whoever steps into your life does so under karmic conditions, but staying or leaving depends on you. Not explaining can bring relief. Not clinging brings clarity, and imperfection is part of life. No matter how well you live, some will praise, some will criticize. No matter how successful you are, there will be both good and bad commentary. If some admire you, others will despise you. If someone envies you, another may dislike you. That's life. You can't please everyone, so don't lose yourself because of other people's judgments. Everyone has their own principles and dignity. We may not appear as a perfect person through someone else's words. There are multiple versions of us from different perspectives. You only need to be the best version of yourself. As a person, you don't need everyone to love you. Just be honest and generous. Though grass may come in thousands of varieties, they can all blossom and emit fragrance without hindrance. Among people, each has their own style. Why not help each other rise instead of dragging each other down? If something seems worthwhile, cherish it. If it makes you happy, preserve it. Stay close to those who bring you joy. Love those who move you. Being human may seem easy, but it's not always easy to touch thousands of hearts. Managing others' words is no simple task either. Living as a human is not necessarily difficult, though. Keep a compassionate heart, be a good person, walk your chosen path. When storms of life come, just remind yourself that the sun will shine again once you pass through the tempest. Don't waste your breath complaining to others. Chances are they won't really care. Some burdens are lighter once you set them down. Some people, when recalled, make you happy. Some sorrows, once you understand, make you stronger. Overthinking traps you in circles. Even a small matter can become complicated if you think too much. Maintain a calm mind and an open heart, and whatever arises passes more gently. Life moves quickly. By stepping away from illusory fame and gain, we can touch what is real. When facing complicated situations, address them simply, discard needless attachments, and keep the mind at ease so you can move forward. Give way to others on the road. It spares trivial conflicts. Look farther, and you'll see a rainbow after the rain. Pack lightly so you can travel far in peace. In truth, the most beautiful scene is not observed by the eyes but felt by the heart. The deepest feelings do not always need words but can be expressed through actions. When something is displeasing, remember the virtue of water, soft, gentle, silently embracing and transforming all things without contention. If each of us could cultivate ourselves to that state, how could the world not know peace? When you view everyone around you in a positive light and recognize value in every occurrence, you'll find life truly enjoyable and the world genuinely wonderful. If you respond to life with a troubled mind, seeing everything as karmic obstacles, the world becomes ugly and loathsome. Many wish to be more attractive, but the best way to attain beauty is to keep a peaceful heart and a joyful spirit. This beauty comforts those around you, preventing their aversion. Indeed, everything we receive in this life is a result of past causes, and everything we do now will shape the future. That's how life continues. If you understand this, you'll limit negative thinking and cease blaming the heavens or others when encountering adversity. Blessings come from diligence and a selfless way of living. Generate compassion to help those in need. Use gratitude to repay others' kindness, and maintain a heart of goodwill toward everyone and everything. Believing in karma, you won't commit regrettable deeds. Always respect others and treasure tolerance and gratitude. The ocean becomes vast by receiving hundreds of rivers. In life, two things we cannot avoid doing are moving forward and pausing. Are you approaching these with a positive mindset? A positive mind is our best companion for staying joyful and healthy. Whether dealing with close friends or strangers, if you have karmic ties, practice generosity. Good relationships stem from everyday kindness. Waiting until crisis strikes to plead for favor is pointless. Therefore, accumulate goodwill like depositing capital in a bank. The more you add and the longer it stays, the higher the interest. When issues arise, don't rush. Avoid making judgments in anger. Try placing yourself in different perspectives, reducing major conflicts to minor ones, and small matters to none, keeping complexity at bay. Live with a sense of enough to curb greed. Most of people's worries stem from futile comparisons. Some see their figure as inferior to someone else's, forgetting there are others who may be even smaller. If you lament that you don't have nice shoes, think of someone who doesn't have feet. If an adversary provokes you to anger, that shows you haven't surpassed them. Turning back to confront someone who insults you is unnecessary. It's like being bitten by a mad dog. Would you bite it back to get even? Therefore, do not be troubled by malicious words from others. Do not regard work as a burden. Rather than complaining and sulking, face it cheerfully, positively. Treat your occupation as an art, as a part of life, and you'll enjoy the happiness it brings. Being alive one more day is a blessing, so cherish it. Life is but a few decades. Don't engage in deeds that leave you sorrowful and full of regret. The sun rises in the east and sets in the west. One more day, whether sad or joyful, still passes. If you ignore trivial gossip, your life will be peaceful, and your spirit will be light. Life often wavers and reels. Sitting quiet, madness subsides. Rain ends, the sun returns. Past hatred becomes peace. Do not add more fetters, for this world is just a way station, living amidst storms of life to savor the ephemeral. As time quickly slips away, don't weave endless dreams, don't chase illusions over realities, ensure wholeness for today. Observe the ceaseless transformations, seasons change their garments, layers of dreams within illusions, awaken to fullness. While life still remains, live rightly in the present, don't wait until it's too late, when all is lost in slumber. We come to this world for two main events, birth and death. One event is already done, only one remains, so there's no need to hurry. Whatever arrives under the right conditions will come, and once it's done, it disperses. Expecting or longing gains nothing. The greatest loneliness in life is having no spiritual refuge or direction. Whether you realize or admit it or not, if your heart is filled with goodness, there's nothing to trouble you. With a truly benevolent heart, you can never harbor resentment. A genuinely simple way of life remains unaffected by a chaotic world. Be a good person, and you will sleep well with a peaceful mind. Do good deeds, and heaven, earth, and even spirits will acknowledge you. If there is no doubt, the world won't be cold. If there is no discrimination, there is no separation. If there is no resentment, the sky remains bright. Without aggression, there is peace across the four seas. True tranquility does not mean sitting still for hours, but maintaining a calm mind amidst all phenomena, hearing even the subtle sounds of grass and flowers growing. Lasting stability comes from the heart. You won't find it by searching outside. We work hard all our lives, striving day and night, yet in the end, we can't take even a leaf with us. A lifetime spent accumulating wealth and status cannot be carried along, not even a hint of vanity. Whenever emotional attachment arises, whether we are wealthy or poor, once our journey ends, parting words are inevitable. A lifetime is short indeed. Many promise to live to 100, yet in a blink they are gone. Some have only just met a kindred spirit, and upon waking they are separated by death. So while there's still time, don't do anything regretful. Don't overthink, don't obsess, and don't harbor excessive ambitions. Being human, having less money is acceptable, but never let your will grow poor. Don't allow a lack of money to narrow your vision. Even if you cannot rise to the top, at least strive to be a useful person. Being human, you may not be very attractive, but never let your heart turn ugly. Kindness doesn't rely on external appearance, it comes from within. Being human, perhaps you're physically small, but don't let your heart be narrow-minded or cruel. Nobody likes those with a petty mind. Even with a frail frame, a good heart can comfort and warm many others. Being human, you might be slender and weak, but do not have a weak spirit. The weak-minded often become pessimistic and self-deprecating. Thus, you must cultivate courage, confidence, and your own perspective. Being human, your ears and eyes may be slow to notice, but never let your mind become ignorant. Always urge yourself to keep a clear mind, a lucid understanding, so you can see far and wide. Being human, being a bit unyielding is permissible, but don't be so unrestrained that malice transforms you into a demon. Otherwise, if you won't go to hell, who will? Being human, you can be smart, but never consider yourself the only clever one while everyone else is foolish. Otherwise, you are the one who's truly clueless in this world. Being human, a bit of laziness is acceptable, but don't remain idle all day. Fulfill responsibilities diligently. Develop a sense of contribution. Do not be a parasite on society. Being human, frugality is fine, but do not become overly calculating about money. Otherwise, you will habitually measure others by wealth, eventually becoming its slave. Being human, it's good to be tolerant, but do not let others repeatedly exploit your tolerance to continue wrongdoing. You should keep certain boundaries and self-respect. Being human, you can endure hardship, but don't let yourself suffer indefinitely with no way out. Learn how to rise above. Some things, once they happen, can only be accepted. Some people, once they leave, must be let go. Certain roads, once chosen, must be traveled. Many good things in life come from waiting patiently rather than seizing them. So cultivate patience if you don't want to miss your chance for happiness. Appreciate every small or large event in life. In retrospect, you will realize they were all quite significant. Many things only reveal their value once they become memories. If we truly have affinity, time and distance won't matter. If not, even if we meet, we'll still part ways. Perhaps one must walk many roads, witnessing both splendors and difficulties before maturing. When you see someone's flaws but do not expose them, you understand the meaning of forgiveness. When you dislike someone but do not turn hostile, you embody the pinnacle of respect. A person's maturity doesn't come from living long, traveling widely, or encountering many situations, but rather from learning when to let go or to be tolerant, reducing conflict. Everyone bears hidden pains, not because they no longer feel, but because they know that speaking of pain solves nothing. Complaining only weakens oneself. Maturity means still being able to smile while transforming suffering into happiness. No matter what struggles you face them bravely. Don't consider escaping, and don't curse or resent. In life, many things aren't necessarily good just because they follow your wishes. The sun won't fail to rise just because you're sad, nor will the moon fail to set just because you resent it. Covering your eyes doesn't turn the world dark. Blurring others' eyes doesn't guarantee the light will shine solely on you. There may be dull axes, but no type of tree is truly impossible to fell. If there is a will, there is a way. Otherwise, people will find excuses. Life is like a cup of water, whether hot or cold. If it suits you, drink it. Whether sweet or bitter, if it pleases your taste, it's good. Likewise with tasks, done quickly or slowly, if you're receptive, it can be pleasant. The 4 seasons come and go. Spring, summer, autumn, or winter, if they match your mood, they are all perfect. Life is not a battlefield. There's no need to determine a victor between people. With more empathy, misunderstandings will lessen. Between tasks, if we yield more, conflicts will dwindle. Some things must be endured, some people must be yielded to, because it's impossible to conquer everyone. You don't need approval or recognition from everyone, since each has their own perspective. We often value ourselves too highly, thus we worry about gain or loss and feel misunderstood. Actually, we should learn to diminish the self to avoid focusing on the ego, putting ourselves in others' shoes. Life then becomes more endearing. The more you open your heart, the more joy enters. The broader your tolerance, the more you'll receive. Do not gossip behind others' backs, and don't let rumors about you concern you too much. People who achieve nothing are rarely discussed. The more outstanding you are, the more likely you'll attract attention and commentary. In life, admitting fault shows honesty, and forgiving displays grace. If you offer honesty but don't receive grace, that proves the other person is somewhat ordinary. When you can embrace the imperfect aspects of life, caring only about responsibility and not personal gain, you stand on higher moral ground. When you can look forward with hope, look down with compassion, and face your superiors with gratitude, you have reached a high level of spiritual maturity. Life requires us to look far, see deeply, and also perceive clearly. Looking far helps us see the bigger picture. Looking deeply reveals the noisy world with countless fleeting alliances. People come for fame and go for profit. Looking clearly doesn't eliminate our aspirations. It brings peace to our hearts and calmness to our minds. The most frightening aging in a human being is not physical, but losing the spirit of endeavor. While we cannot alter our appearance, we can certainly improve our character. Transforming your disposition changes your entire fate. In daily interactions, remember that kindness, enthusiasm, and sincerity often yield favorable results. Sometimes a smile is more effective than mere politeness, bringing warmth to those around you. Finding fault in others betrays a lack of virtue in yourself. Pointing out shortcomings in others is itself a deficiency in you. Using your own limited perspective to judge others leaves no one free from error. Cornering others doesn't push them off a cliff. It only leaves yourself no escape route. Being caught up with others' success or failure doesn't harm them, but robs you of the time to look up at the vast sky. A person too domineering loses friends. A heart too selfish becomes exhausting. Only love can bring people together, can embrace the world. When you have free time, reflect on your own mistakes instead of gossiping about right and wrong in society. Though spoken words may not harm you physically, they can destroy your merit. Of all the evil karma from speech, slander is the worst. Thus, speak carefully. Avoid discussing things that don't exist. Even joking requires restraint. Exposing someone's faults, do not go too far. Keep some kindness in your speech. When reprimanding, do not be harsh. Retain a sense of compassion. Even if you are right, don't push things to the extreme. Keep some tolerance. And when handling matters, avoid being too rigid. Leave room for a retreat. Accepting others is also giving yourself a chance. Showing understanding for others broadens your own soul. A truly forgiving individual uses a kind heart to treat the world. A person of quality respects others. One who is cultivated remains gentle with everyone and everything, contemplating others' well-being. Such a person earns admiration. Only by respecting others can you be respected in return. If you handle all with a gentle attitude, your heart naturally becomes peaceful. Not competing or grasping means no anxiety or fear. Let someone else suffer in samsara. I return to my old homeland to rest in freedom. Returning all stooped postures from life after life, freed of attachments, illusions of karma. Returning illusions of mind into the ocean, repaying all entanglements with compassion. Let worldly dreams vanish, the footsteps of illusions fade with time. That ephemeral old path remains, the lake of eternity stands waiting. Eons pass in quiet slumber, now illusions are undone. Return to the primal face, let all worldly concerns remain in the world. In daily interactions, everything occurs under specific conditions. Among people, if you regard someone as a bodhisattva, they will appear benevolent. If you see them as a demon, they will become fearful. It is like looking into a mirror. Smile and you see a happy face. Frown and you see a sad one. The same principle applies among friends. If you treat them with respect, you receive courtesy. If you despise them, you receive dissatisfaction and contempt. Therefore, in life, be sincere with friends, affectionate with family, tolerant with loved ones, and forgiving toward enemies. If you constantly harbor positive thoughts and treat everyone accordingly, eventually they will perceive it and respond in kind. When you hold good things in your heart, your life's quality elevates. Form arises from the mind. Circumstances shift according to our thoughts. If goodness in your heart is abundant, it will manifest outwardly and spread to those around you, yielding a wonderful outcome. Humanity is simple yet also frightening. A compassionate heart can accommodate everything, while a malicious heart can destroy many. Being overly cunning alienates others. Working too strictly breeds resentment. Always contending with people or claiming every advantage leads one to lose sincere relationships and degrade one's own integrity. Thus, when faced with money or gain, be a bit foolish to maintain peace. In emotional interactions, be a bit foolish to keep a clear conscience. When rumors arise, be a bit foolish to avoid letting them unsettle you. No one is perfect. Each individual has a distinctive character. Some may admire you, some resent you, others refuse to accept you. Yet deep down, everyone would prefer not to be tangled in endless conflict. The truly wise do not live with slyness or day-long calculations. They remain somewhat foolish to preserve their goodness and avoid endless struggles. Life is short. Learning contentment brings ease. In the tumult of existence, being a bit foolish grants you freedom.